I have two things to say before I start this video. First, I'll be on Mortis Media's livestream as a feature at some point soon. Next, I have a special shout out to one of my subscribers. Her name is Vittoria Roca. I appreciate your activity on my channel. Without further ado, these 3 videos are for you, Vittoria. For everyone else, sit back, relax, and let this nightmare unfold. I lived in a house of hell for 4 years. From the age of 11 to almost 16, there was something constantly happening. Doors flying open and shut, footsteps, voices. Nothing ever stayed where you put it. I was alone there a lot because both of my parents worked and I was constantly terrified. One of the most gut-level disturbing things, though, was the little girl in my bathroom. Every time I walked past my bathroom door, which was constantly since it was right outside of my bedroom, I saw a little girl with blonde curled hair in a rose-colored dress. She just stood there staring, looking like a photograph from 1905. I started to keep my door closed so I could walk by without seeing her, but she was always there when I opened it. Once I stepped in past her. I couldn't see her anymore, but I could feel her there. She scared me. But I felt really sorry for her because she was trapped there, just like me, but probably forever. As the years went by and things in the house continued to get worse, she started seeming darker. I started feeling like she wasn't really a little girl. I knew there was something ugly in the house, and I felt it was presenting this sympathetic image to me. Then I started thinking I was completely losing my mind. One day, I was 14. I had a friend from out of town come stay with me for a week. I hadn't told her anything whatsoever about the house because I didn't think she would come if I did. Right after she got there, we were sitting in my room, and she left to go use the bathroom. About a minute later, she walked back with a puzzled look on her face and said, "So there's a little girl in your bathroom." Yeah, she hangs out in there. Blonde hair, curls, pink dress. Yeah, you know, that's not really a little girl, don't you know? I almost threw up. I was so relieved and terrified and excited and ready to run out of the house screaming. She wouldn't use my bathroom for the rest of the week, and I started using it as little as possible without pissing off my parents, who did not want to believe. Eventually, we moved out, and I could not have been happier. I distanced myself from it, mentally as much as I could. Then, when I was 18, I took another friend on a road trip to pack a few things I'd left in the house. My parents hadn't managed to sell it, and wouldn't for 5 more years. The minute we got onto the property, my friend seemed uncomfortable. When we came around the bend in the long, steep driveway, he went completely white. I could tell something was wrong, but he insisted he was okay, so we got to work. After a while, he asked to use the bathroom, and I directed him to mine. Not 20 seconds after he left, he came back running in, gasping for breath, and slammed the bedroom door behind him. He started babbling about a little blonde girl who isn't really a little girl. All of a sudden, he went dead still, looked me in the eye, and said very solemnly, "She's not happy with you. You left And you weren't supposed to. Shaken, I walked him to another bathroom and waited outside the door. When he was finished, we got whatever the fuck we could and got the fuck out at top speed. Never again did we see that house. Forever haunted. When I was 4 years old, my mom and I moved to a large colonial house that was built in the late 1800s. My mom always had a weird feeling about the house. There was a little bricked off section in the basement that we never knew why it was there. My mother told me soon after we moved into the house. I suddenly had an imaginary friend. One day, out of the blue, I told her that I'd been playing with a little girl named Jenny. She thought that it was just a phase and didn't pay much attention to it. And I told her that Jenny wanted me to let the cat go down into the basement so that she could play with it. My mother allowed me to let the cat go down there. However, it never came back. That creeped her out. Then a few days later, I told her Jenny wanted me to go down into the basement to play with her. My mother refused and told me to go upstairs to my bed. I did. And when I woke up the next morning, I had deep scratches on my back and legs. My mother decided to research the history of the house. She found an old picture of the house and the family who used to live there. She showed me the picture and asked if I recognized any of them. There were 7 little girls in the picture, and without hesitation, I pointed to one of them. The names of all the family members were written on the back. The girl that I had pointed to was named Jenny. Of course, my mother got scared, because during her research, she had discovered that the girl named Jenny had gone down into the basement one day and was never seen again. The family never found her, and they moved shortly after. After I identified the girl in the picture, it was all way too much for my mom to handle. We moved out of the house and found somewhere else to live. When I turned 18, my mom told me all about what had happened in that house. It still scares me when I think about it. When I was growing up, there was this girl in my neighborhood who was very weird. All of the other kids were freaked out by her. One day, she told all of the kids that in the forest behind our house, there were dead, bloody people. When they heard this, all of the kids freaked out and told their parents. Their fathers had to go out and search the forest just in case. All they found was candy wrappers and empty beer bottles. After that, all of the kids in the neighborhood refused to go near her, including me. A few years later, my parents divorced. On the day the moving came to take my mom's things all out of the house, the girl came out of nowhere and told me that Matt didn't like my parents. We're getting a divorce. I had no idea who Matt was. Even though I stopped being friends with her, my dad was still friends with her parents. My dad told me that Matt was her imaginary friend. Her parents had told him all about the problems that they were having. Matt was often too physical. They claimed that Matt could control the lights and even could take the power out. They said Matt could also unlock doors at night. If he was ignored, the banging on the doors would start. A few years later, my dad decided that he would invite the girl and her parents over to our house. I was begging my dad not to do this, but he said it would be nice to catch up with them. When they came over at night, my dad told me to entertain the girl. I brought her up to my bedroom and she seemed to be acting normal. She even told me how nice my room was. However, I was still creeped out by her. She just sat down in the middle of the floor while I tried to put a movie in my DVD player. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in the most deadpan voice, she said, "Matt's here." At that exact moment, the lights began to flicker on and off. I got so scared. I ran out of my room, crying in fear. Her parents came running up the stairs, dragging her daughter out of my room and taking her home. For the next few weeks after, I refused to sleep in my room. I haven't heard much about that family ever since. I heard that Matt still controls the lights, but I don't know if he's still around. To this day, whenever the lights begin to flicker or a bulb blows, it still freaks me out. Thank you for watching my channel. Like and subscribe. I do not know exactly when the live stream with Mortis Media will be, but when I do, I will surely let you know in the next video. Until next time, stay sinister, stay grave.